everyone, and welcome to our WIN-NextGen Podcast. I am your host, Elisa Basnight, and I'm really looking forward to our discussion today with NextGen and high school senior Aaliyah Torres. Aaliyah, welcome. I'm really glad we're having this conversation today. I believe many of our listeners will be able to connect to this topic. And I think what makes this moment so powerful, Aaliyah, is that you're in it right now. This season of waiting, a season of growing and stepping into what's next. So are you ready to dive in?
Yes, thank you so much for having me here.
Great. Well, Aaliyah, I know how you're feeling right now in this season of waiting for college decisions is probably just, it fills you with lots of different emotions. And so can you just describe to us, how are you feeling right now?
Yes, okay. So as of right now, I'm actually pretty excited because I got most of my decisions now. At first, I was very nervous, but now it's like relief. Now it's almost the end of my senior year and it's feeling pretty good. Now all I have to wait is for the schools I got waitlisted for and my financial aid packages so I can make my decision.
Okay, wow. Well, thank you for sharing that and congratulations. And maybe at the end, you can reveal a little bit with us if you want to. I think a lot of people don't realize how real this moment is for you and many others in similar situations. So let's go back to what started all of this for you, okay? And just wanting to think about your why. So when did you first realize you wanted to become a doctor and what made that real for you?
Okay, thank you for your question. So I feel like I've observed that as a society, we've always had this ambition that we want to become a doctor, want to be in the medical field at least once in our mind. It's an aspiration. But for me, it doesn't feel like a dream. Rather, it feels like a calling in a sense. I was born dead, and throughout my life, there has been a lot of medical issues surrounding my family. As my grandfather was diagnosed with cancer when I was around 9 years old, and he's battled cancer for around 8 years now. And that seeing him, how fragile he became after being the strongest man I knew, really rooted me to want to do something about it. And that's why I want to be in the medical field and I want to help people like him.
That is so powerful. And so, from such a lived experience, that you can really, and I'm connecting to what you're sharing here. I've known you for a little while now, and I didn't realize just some of that background that you shared. So, when I see a dream really shift into an idea to something real, I think that is a true, powerful push for making that dream come true. And you've clearly put in the work along the way. I know you've been preparing for this next step for quite a bit. So, what are some of the experiences academically, leadership, perhaps in your community that have really shaped who you are today?
Okay, so I think there has been a lot of experiences that have shaped who I am. For example, in high school, I've taken like the most rigorous courses I've had available. I've taken AAP classes, and that has very much shown me that the sky is the limit and how my potential, there's no limit to my potential and what I can do. I've also done a lot of leadership positions. One of them, which was very impactful for me, was when I helped at Trinitas Hospital, which is my local hospital, and I was able to interact with people with diseases, and it made me realize that I do want to be a doctor because I think a lot of people would tell me, yes, you want to be a doctor, but it's because you've never experienced it being at the hospital, seeing people ill and going through all these things. But when I saw that, it truly made me want to do it even more. Before I had a 10 out of 10, yes, I want to do this. Now it's infinity. I'm gonna do it. So, yes.
Wow, those are some really great examples of how real experiences can shape more than just a resume. And you can really see how those moments help build who you are, right? And not just what you've done. So, was there anything that you have done, Aaliyah, a project perhaps, activity or role that you feel really reflects who you are and may have helped you stand out during this process?
So I truly like helping people, and I think that reflected in my job, which I work for the PPP program, which is the personal preference program, in which I take care of my grandmother, and that shaped me as a person in my maturity and responsibility. Taking care of her really shaped on how I want to do something in the medical field and help those around me, and also made me want to do Relay for Life, where I'm team captain and I raise money for cancer. But I also would like to clarify that I don't think there was one thing that necessarily made me stand out, since it is a holistic process, which is the beauty of college admissions, because it's the uncertainty that makes it beautiful in a way.
Oh, wow. I think that was a really good nugget right there about that uncertainty. And it's such a great example of authenticity. It's not just doing things, but it's also what I'm taking away. It's doing things that really reflect you. And your grandmother sounds like a very fortunate woman to have you as a granddaughter.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the part of your journey people perhaps may not always see. So, what would you say has been the most challenging part of this journey so far that people don't always see?
Honestly, it was the waiting, because I knew I did everything in my power to reflect the best possible person I could be for college admissions. But waiting every day, feeling anxious when they'd say, "Okay, decisions come out at 7 p.m." They come out at 5 p.m. It was very like scary in a way to see what would come out and what they would think of me in a way. But it also made me realize when I would get those rejections, because I did get multiple, it made me want to strive for more. Because in the end, yes, they might have said no, but it's a no now, not a no forever. And I can always
Not
apply for graduate school and stuff.
I love that. It's not a no forever. And I was just talking with another next gen earlier today who's in a waiting season. And I know what you're saying today resonates exactly with that earlier conversation. So thank you for sharing those perspectives. They're very real. Plus, I think that honesty is going to help someone else who may feel a little bit less alone listening to you sharing your thoughts.
Also, I'm
So,
sorry. I
yeah, go
just
ahead.
wanted to say, I feel like at first I would take the no's personally, but the no isn't a reflection of who you are as a person. Rather, it's the 5 pages that show who you are, that don't truly reflect who you are, but it's what they're seeing.
Nice. Yes, very, very powerful, which also goes to really being able to write and think how those 5, 6 pages that you're submitting, share your story, right? That's
Yes.
because that's the shot that you have. So, as a first generation student, what does this process feel like for you and your family?
It was very stressful applying for scholarships, financial aid, filling out the supplemental questions. As someone, I'm also an only child in a single parent household, so I didn't have anyone, for example, a older sibling who could help me on how to do this stuff, and me and my mom were kind of navigating this together. So it was pretty difficult at first, but now I'm pretty confident that I can help people who are in this situation. I would love to do so if the opportunity arises.
That is truly a testament of resilience. And thank you for sharing that perspective. It's incredibly important. And I know perhaps there will be some people who hopefully take you up on that offer. Folks can find Aaliyah. She is a member of WIN-NextGen. And you're not just, and realizing you're not just navigating this for yourself, you're helping lead the way for others. And that takes strength, Aaliyah. That takes strength. So let's talk about this moment you're in right now. I like to call it, we called this whole episode the waiting, becoming while you wait. So you're in a waiting season. And what is this waiting season actually like for you day to day, Aaliyah?
It was very anxious at first, because uncertainty is very, I like to know what's next, the next step on what's going to happen in my life. And for a few months, I was in a limbo. I didn't know where I was going to go. Was I going to stay in the state? Was I going to go to another state, different country? So not knowing what was next was very much impactful in this waiting season.
And that is such a real picture of what this season actually feels like. I know I've been there a few times, and thank you for sharing that realness with us. I think people need to hear that. And so, what are you learning about yourself during this time that you didn't expect?
I think I didn't know myself to the full potential that I thought. Because, yes, I don't think you'll ever know yourself as much as you truly think. When I saw the supplemental questions, at first, as I said before, I'm a procrastinator. I was going to do it in 3 days. When I read the questions when they came out around August, I wanted to read them first to see if I could procrastinate it in 3 days. And I had difficulty answering the questions in like a second. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of things in my life that I have to explore on who I truly am. And I also think that's the beauty of college admissions and these supplemental questions because they make you realize who you are and who you're becoming.
That's growth. Even when things feel uncertain, I believe that really sometimes that waiting season teaches the most. And I bet when you start applying for med school, are you going to wait 3 days before
No,
you
no.
start that process?
I learned my lesson.
And that's what these opportunities are for, right? They are for the growth. So, well, you definitely aren't going to be, in that process alone either when you take that step. So, speaking of which, like, how has having support like WIN-NextGen and others made a difference for you during this process?
Honestly, I'm truly grateful for WIN-NextGen. I started in WIN-NextGen the summer of my freshman year when I got into the Smith pre-college program because of WIN-NextGen, and I had the opportunity to go on a 2-week program. And it was about genes and chromosomes, and I got to interact with kids, my all girls my age who were also interested in STEM, first generation students. And it was the way I got to interact with these girls going through similar experiences as me that felt empowering on all they were doing because they were doing so much in the medical field. And I was like, wow, we're all doing this for one common good. And it made me want to do more. And when Next Gen is all about you becoming the best version of yourself. And I'm just truly grateful that I've become a part of it.
Wow. Honestly, my heart is smiling. I actually am trying not to tear up because I didn't know how you're going to answer that question that I just asked you. And that answer means a lot, Aaliyah. And we're so proud of you, so proud of you. And this is exactly why we do this work. Supporting journeys like yours really matter. And so I'd like to just close with something for our other students and next gens listening. What's one piece of advice, Aaliyah, you would give to someone your age who wants to pursue a career in medicine but doesn't know where to start?
I think the most important thing is to be yourself. And when you're going through this process, just you don't necessarily have to choose for your pre-med. You don't have to choose, for example, bio major, chem major. You can do whatever you like as long as you take the prereqs. And I think that is very important that people take into consideration. And in the end, just be yourself in this college applications because it's not necessarily about all the extracurriculars you do. It's about the impact you do and what you want to be, what you want to do in the future and helping others. So just be yourself. It will work out. God has the best plan for you.
That is such practical and meaningful advice, Aaliyah, and I hope students really take that to heart. You already are leading by example. So, I always like to have fun, and as a closing reflection, it's serious, but also, kind of innovative here. I'm wondering if you can finish this sentence for me. The sentence is, I'm becoming someone who, dot, dot, dot. What would that be for you?
Okay, I'm becoming someone who trusts the process, believes in her own potential, and will keep going no matter the obstacles.
That is motivating as well as beautiful. And so, Aaliyah, thank you so much for sharing your journey so openly, so authentically. And we're just excited to continue supporting you as you step into what's next. I know this conversation is going to resonate with so many students and families. And to everyone, thank you for joining us. Until next time, I'm Elisa Basnight. We really appreciate you being a part of the WIN Next Gen community. And as I like to always say, together we can.